welcome. Margaret Millmore has been working for quite a while on a project called Island Wanderer, and I know that we were featured several months ago at the Senior Community Center, and we thank you for that.
My
And
pleasure.
Margaret is here, and so is Kevin, who has joined Margaret recently in this project. So maybe I'll start with Margaret just to describe a little bit about the thinking behind the blog, the goals of the project, and how it's going.
Well, thank you. And thank you for inviting us to be here. Well, I started the blog in the fall of 2018 because I was a recent transplant to the island and realized that A, I didn't know enough about it, and B, there were more things going on this island than I'd ever experienced in my 27 years living in San Francisco. And I thought, well, I'd recently finished my latest novel and I wanted to write about something different. So I thought I'd start a blog and learn more about the island. So I connected with the Chamber of Commerce, who helped me connect with everybody else, and started writing about people, businesses, events, focusing just on all the positive, wonderful things that are constantly happening here. It's been an amazing learning experience. And of course, I've met some fantastic people. So that's basically what I've been doing. Up until the pandemic, I was connected with BETA and the Chamber and other AHB and other groups to the library, et cetera, to promote the reoccurring events that were going on the island, which was really wonderful. And I think it really started to help build an audience. And then, of course, feature places like the Senior Center. And then, obviously, we're just going to ignore 2020 because that sort of put a kibosh on everything. But and then Kevin contacted me in December and said that he was thinking about doing something similar, and would I be interested in collaborating? I definitely was very interested because Kevin's longevity on the island, his experience as a journalist, he was going to be and has been a wonderful contributing author, and his articles are fun. We really love them. It's really boosted the blog, and so we're focusing on expanding. Kevin's done a lot of experiential things. He's talked about odd things that have happened on the island that I wouldn't even have thought to address, such as the roundabout, the high school, things like that.
Right. If you are coming as a eye open newbie, he's coming here as a gimlet-eyed old codger.
Well, thank you for that description, Reed. It was so appreciative.
See, Kevin, if we could see your face, we would know that you're just a young man.
I know.
Going forward, one of the things that we have been doing, and I wanted to point this out and ask if you'd be interested, is I do, in addition to the blog, I also do a monthly artist feature for Arts and Humanities. And along with that, when they've got an event, such as their poetry contest, various events, I've been basically publishing in article format their event flyers and newsletters and things like that. And so if you guys, the Senior Center, has things like that you want to share on a little bit broader basis, let us know. Send me the press release, send me any images that you want, and we'll load it up as an article. And I know we do have cross people that are reading what you guys already publish and getting your emails and newsletters and things, but there's a broader audience as well that I think we can reach and help to expand anything that you guys are doing, especially
Margaret, you've got two members of the marketing committee right here on this call, so I think we're in great shape. Well, 2.5, because Kevin has also sometimes been on the marketing committee. Let's turn to Kevin for a minute and ask him to talk a little bit about what sort of inspired him to reach out to Margaret.
Well, it was a rainy day. I was sitting in the chamber office, not far from where Reed is right now. No, actually, I have been mulling some ideas around some sort of blog or website in my dotage here, and thought that I was watching what Margaret was doing. I said, she's kind of doing a lot of sort of what I'm thinking about. And so I knew she was doing stuff, as she had mentioned, with the chamber and BETA and so forth. And so I thought, well, I'll reach out and see if there's some collaborative opportunities there. And I think she'll agree it's a lot more interesting and fun to collaborate. Although we've had, because of COVID and stuff, we haven't really had a chance to, sit across from each other much and talk. But we're hoping that's going to change because we're both been vaccinated. And
Yay!
yeah, so we'll be able to actually talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as she mentioned, I think there's a lot of positive stuff going on the island that doesn't really necessarily see the light of day with with other publications. And this is not to disparage those publications at all, but the Review and the Islander, they're focused on trying to give this broad brushed view of islands from the police department to the courts to schools to crime and all that kind of stuff. And not that they're not mentioning some of the stuff we're talking about, but we really want to focus on business and things like arts and culture, community culture, island history where it's appropriate, interesting people on the island. Some of the people that are in this meeting right now would be qualified for that. So, and then of course our own, as she had mentioned, our own little takes on island life. I've done some of that. She's done some of that. So it's just really, we want this to be kind of a place where people can go and get a little fresh perspective on what's going on. So,
and if you don't mind if I interrupt and add something, being a newbie myself, we all know how many new people have come to the island over the last several years, and they are a younger generation that really are reading online. They're not reading the newspaper as much. And I have seen a lot of these new people come in, and I've been receiving comments and emails from them saying, hey, this is really fun. This is stuff that I don't read about in the newspaper. It's giving them information about things that get them out there and tell them about things that just are maybe not as publicly known. So I think that's a fun thing too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's a huge challenge, obviously, trying to keep such a thing fresh. Do you have kind of a publication schedule? Do you have kind of a cadence that you're trying to keep up, or are you just kind of doing things as they come along?
Well, pre-pandemic, I had a pretty regular schedule, at least as far as events and things like that were concerned. And then I had an ongoing list of businesses that I wanted to just go interview just to tell people about them. Kevin and I are still working off of that list, and he's given me a list of his own with a lot of fresh, new, fun ideas. So it's not so much a schedule, although he and I are kind of refining that a little bit more. It's more just when something comes up, we just want to tell you about it. And so it isn't scheduled per se, but when the events start back up again, those will be, I suppose, would be considered part of scheduled information. But everything else is just sort of, oh, hey, a new business opened up on Winslow or in Linwood or whatever, and we just say, let's go talk to them. So.
Yeah, and I think also just to add to that is we're trying to give it a little bit of a different twist. It's not just the basic reportage of, oh yeah, new business is opening up on Winslow. We're trying to do maybe a little bit behind the scenes, get in, find out about this particular business's background, and maybe put a little different spin on it. I just did a piece on the schools. You might have seen there.
Yeah, I was going to mention that was, we've all seen the article that says, the new 101 or whatever is opening up, but you took a different take on it.
Yeah, and that's what I'm driving at. We want to do something like that where it's just not the same old who, what, where, how, and when. I sort of came at it, and again, that's probably because I've been around the island long enough, and my wife was a teacher for many years, and so I have, and Reed's been involved in the school, so I have a little bit of more of a perspective. But Sheila, did you have a question? Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
I'm muted. Yeah, I'm the story of my life department.
Yeah, we might mute you again. You got to be careful.
Oh, God, Ray, I love you so much.
Anyway, go right ahead. Go right ahead. As long as you know you're as nice
Can I
as
go
I am.
ahead now? Can I do
Yeah.
it? I don't know if I can or not. I was just one. I'll do this before Karen steps in, because this is really Karen's bit about Fob Friday. Because all of a sudden, Kevin, you mentioned something about talking about businesses on the island and where they came from and when they started and all that kind of thing. And you know, Kevin, about the Fob Friday, right?
Yeah, I do.
You better. I mean, you've been to that meeting, right?
I've been to several of those meetings, and I have a fob somewhere. Hanging off the keychain, I think.
Yeah, that lets you into the senior center. If you don't have it, you can't come to the senior center. But
right.
you can't get the 10% off on Fridays. Yeah. But anyway, it might be sort of interesting to coordinate that for Friday, a Fob Friday situation with those things that you're talking about, writing up articles about the Fob Friday. And
absolutely.
You could, with us, could you do that?
Oh yeah, we could do that. Well, you know, for a price, Sheila.
That's right.
You know, this isn't free stuff. Come on.
That's right. So just so you know,
what do you need, Kevin? What do you need?
This is the device we're talking about. It's a little thing that goes on your keychain, and you can use it to sign into the senior center, and a number of area merchants will give you 10% off on Fridays if you show them your senior center membership fob. So that's a little marketing committee creation of Karen King's. Karen, do you have any comment about that?
I think that, you know, I've always thought that organizations should have some kind of connection to local businesses. I mean, it's our neighbors that own these businesses, and I have to tell you that at least 90% of the people we ask say, yes, they want to be on. They want to be part of the community also. And many communities have senior discounts. And to do this through the senior center and our membership has been I think it's helped with membership. It's just another incentive to be part of this wonderful organization with all the programs, and just one more, you know, small, but it's still an incentive to be with us. It's also a way to get our logo and name out there. You know, if you go to a business that has on there, it says a Fob Friday, you'll see on their doors, it says Fob Friday participant. So, but those connections have been wonderful. I've enjoyed them. We, of course, with the pandemic, some of our businesses are struggling. I personally, as being on the marketing committee, would like to help out our neighbors and friends who have small businesses here. I mean, the Amazon took a big chunk.
Yeah.
And but we need to take care. And we did just lose a business because of the reason why was because of the pandemic. She had just started February last year. That was not a good time to start a business.
Who was that, Karen? I didn't see that.
That was Bengal Tree.
Oh no,
that's too bad.
Yeah, and I love that store.
I thought that was going to be. I remember when she started. I thought that was going to be a tough go as in normal time. So
yeah. Marissa. So
anyhow, there are a few people who have tried. I know that Debbie Simcoe is working on a restaurant over there that and she opened in the middle of the pandemic. Is the Cedar?
Red Cedar.
Red Cedar.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, Marissa's is working over there. The gal that owns Bengal Tree. I talked to her, and she will be selling some of her items at the Red Cedar Cafe. So, you know, in some ways, because that's a pretty big area, I think in some ways them coming together and collaborating together and
there's a familial relationship.
Good idea.
Them,
exactly.
So, yeah, and I interviewed Marissa, so I'm really sad to hear that. I interviewed her as part of a beta program I was working with over there. So I'm really sad to hear that they closed, but that's a great one. Actually, I meant to get over to Red Cedar, you know, in the last year. And of course, you know, so that's a good one to put on our list, Kevin.
Yeah.
So BETA, just for those of you who might not know, BETA is Bainbridge Island Downtown Association.
Right. Yes.
So you guys obviously have some connection. Kevin is a former president and CEO of the chamber, and also a business reporter. So, and obviously you have an interest in this idea of the merchant community. It's kind of the part of the business community that are, you know, real people doing real work, and they kind of get overshadowed by the corporations, and it's important not to lump them in with some of those larger enterprises, because it's a completely different way to do business in this country.
No, and that's another part of the blog structure, is to show the personal aspect of these individuals and their businesses, and you know what that does for the community. I think, at least it's been my experience over the last years, if I feel a personal connection when I read about somebody, I'm more apt to, it's more apt to stay in my mind. And so, you know, if I'm walking down the street and I see, oh, hey, that was so and so, and I'll go in. And I think that really helps people feel like they know the business owner. And it, you know, giving that personal connection in the articles we write, I think is imperative to, because we're such a small place, you know, and it's important to share all of that.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Thanks, Reed, for putting that up. All right. That's what our blog looks like.
We are going to be working on restructuring it so that we can categorize things. And that's something Kevin and I are going to be working on over the next several weeks. And based on both of our vast knowledge on website building, probably months. But so be looking forward to some new structure to that. It's going to be a little bit easier to navigate. It won't just be one article that shows up. There'll be different categories, so you can kind of go through and, you know, look at just businesses or however we decide to break it down. But
Great.
We're working towards that.
So
We're
it's
working
the
towards
island.
that. That's a goal. So yeah.
It's called the islandwanderer.com.
Right.
And you also have what? Email notification?
Yeah, you can email. You can. There's a contact us button, so you can just put that in, and I get an email whenever somebody contacts us, and I can respond.
But I can subscribe too.
You can
Absolutely.
subscribe.
Yeah.
See where it says follow blog via email, and just put your email address in there.
You can also follow on Facebook.
You can also follow on Facebook. Yeah. There you go, Reed.
You did it. Yay.
And then you'll get a notification, Reed, when there's a post. And then if you don't like the headline, you can, or if you like the headline, you can read it, and if you don't, you can delete it. So whatever. So.
I just want to I think this is maybe beating a little bit much, but I think it would be wonderful if somehow you could coordinate the picture of the fob and the logo for the senior center when you would do an article about one of the stores or businesses that are under the aegis of Fob Friday.
That's absolutely a great idea.
Yeah.
You're shameless, Sheila, and I love it.
You know what?
Shameless.
Shameless is great. We love Shameless, and I think it's great to be able to tie programs like that into businesses that we're doing, because again, this sounds completely self-promotional, but it's good for the business to say, I'm supporting the senior center. So it's good for everybody. I'm more than happy to do that. And what we can do is, like, I keep a senior center logo on file because there has been things that have crossed, you know, and I like to put logos in of organizations that are participating in events. So we can keep that fob on file, or just take a picture of the window seal in one of the businesses and just have that. And every time we do a business that's involved in that, we'll just include that.
I can do that, Margaret.
Oh, great.
I also, Pat Egas, she's developed a picture of the fob too that I could send you also.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and do that, Karen. That'd be great.
Okay. I don't have Margaret's, but I have your email.
Yeah, and we communicate all the time. So yeah.
Yeah, I'll get those to you.
Yeah.
You can send those on to Margaret, and you could do whatever. Yeah, I think it's an excellent idea if you could help us with that connection.
Absolutely. And I can, when Kevin forwards it, I can, or he can include the email address or give you mine or whatever. I can spell it out for you now, but it's a lot easier when it just shows up on your machine.
Yeah, yeah.
So I have to ask a question for Karen and Sheila. So is this Fob Friday? Is it you guys have reignited it? Is it, or what's the deal with that?
Well, you know, we're coming out of the shadow and of the pandemic, and businesses are, you know, expanding the amount of people that in their stores. So getting our word back out to our membership is really important.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I'm coming out of a fog, to be quite honest with you. And
You're not alone.
and I really would, you know, this is something that we're asking the board. Sheila's going to be representing us, asking the board if we could, you know, possibly or say this is kind of our focus. And we just got done with the spring fundraiser, which was amazingly successful.
I just saw the email newsletter on that, and congratulations. That's wonderful. Yeah,
I just received the email from Reed, and it was like, wow, it was a good job, fantastic. And but now I think it's time that we have taken care. Now I personally feel like we should start reaching out and helping our local community, our businesses. So
I'm now showing the Facebook page, and so you can follow up on things that way as well. I don't know if there's anything about this page that you might want to mention, but you don't post everything, or do you post everything that you put on the blog out here too?
Every article that I put on the blog, I post. And also, if I get emails from other businesses that say, you know, press release emails, I'll go to their Facebook page and share it to this as well. It might not necessarily be an article, but, you know, for instance, I get newsletters from some of the galleries downtown, and if they're doing something special, I'll share that onto the Facebook page. So it also gives us that double opportunity. I'm not great at social media, admittedly, but it's that the Facebook page gets a lot of hits. So
yeah,
I think it's important to be able to share what businesses on the island are doing on that page as well, even if it's not going to be an article, you know, a featured article.
So obviously one of the challenges in our time, you were mentioning that people don't get the printed newspaper as much, is this expectation of social media and the idea that we're going to follow things on our phones, or there's going to be video associated with it. I see you guys are taking a lot of pictures as part of this as well.
Right.
One of the things I've discovered with the pictures, and this is actually a recent discovery, so I'm a little embarrassed that I didn't know this before. When you upload a picture into that site that we use, the hosting site that we use, you can put in a description. And when you put that description in, and somebody types in, say, for instance, Bainbridge Island Senior Center, those images pop up on in their search feature or their search functions. So that is an additional way that this brings things to the present mind, that makes the searching for the blog itself, but also for articles about, you know, if that picture shows up and a person clicks on it, it's going to take them to the article. So that's an additional social media feature that I just learned about.
You know, and just to add to that for a sec, one of the things that probably down the road further, once we get the website kind of positioned where we want it going forward, is I could see us maybe doing some video, like, you know, or maybe down the road, maybe even a podcast from time to time. But that's something, and she and I haven't even talked about this, so she's probably saying to herself, what is this guy talking about? Anyways.
Kevin's an idea man. I mean, you know, I have infinite expectations of him.
Yeah. But I mean, I could see something like us doing, because people are very visual. You're right, Reed, you know, and we're trying to keep our articles somewhere within the 500 to as much as 1,500, which is a pretty long story probably for us. But so we want to keep them crisp and so people can get through them and get some good information or entertainment out of it or whatever.
And of course, we also include links to anything we're talking about. So for instance, when I did the article on the senior center, there was a link to that, and you just, it's like any web page, just hover over it and click, and it'll take you directly to it. I also linked like your charity shop there and things like that. So those links I think are also very helpful because it helps people feed right into what they want to, learn more about.
So if anybody is watching this and has a suggestion for a story idea, they can just go to theislandwanderer.com and click on the contact us and send you a message, right, Margaret?
Absolutely. And you are more than welcome to share my email address with everybody as well.
Okay.
If they've got ideas, all they have to do is, say blog idea in the subject line. And I always, and send it to us. I always check my spam folder because sadly,
that's where they go.
There. Yeah, I mean, I'm on the pickleball mailing list, and about half of the pickleball articles end up in my inbox, the other half in spam. I don't know why, but
I'm on that pickleball thing too. I get something like 3 times a day from people looking for people to play with. So, anyways, hey, so one of the things we really do want to cover is active seniors. So there's
definitely
some folks at the senior center that are doing. It doesn't matter what they're doing, if they're playing chess or if they have a cool hobby or any number of things that we could write about and
I would love to have you come down some Thursday and play pétanque with Linda Tanner and the group across the street. That's French bocce ball with boule. We'll even let you borrow some boule, and you can tell people about how this lovely weather.
So one of us could come down and play and then write about it afterwards, something like that.
That's right, yeah.
That would be cool. Yeah.
1 o'clock on Thursdays.
All right. I'll keep that in mind. So.
Also, you do a lot of work with the historical museum, talks and things. Well, you did obviously pre-pandemic.
Yes. Well, we still do it. We're doing it online.
Okay, great. Because I those are super interesting, and I've recently relocated from over by Linwood Center to downtown. So I'm really excited about things starting to get back up because those historical talks are something I really wanted to get into, and this pandemic, I really just want to punch it in the nose. Really inhibited all the fun things I had planned.
Historian and noted island old guy Reed Hansen was just in yesterday. He has for many years done a tour of the island on the senior center bus, and we were just talking about maybe when it gets to be about August, maybe we'll be able to get him out in the bus again to take a tour around the island as he has done for many years.
Oh, that would make the best article. I mean, that would just be so great.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I saw something on some historic, it must have been a while back. I was looking for, in fact, maybe you guys know this. I want to do something on that, the Oddfellows Trail. You know where that is? You guys don't know where it is. That's good. That's good.
I've heard of it.
Yeah. So I want to and try to find some background history on the whole Oddfellows movement on Bainbridge. And I know there's the Oddfellows Hall on Oddfellows Way.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any. I don't know if Reed would be a good person to talk to, but what do you?
Well, I'm certain that Reed Hansen would be a good person to talk to. Reed Price, not so much.
Yeah.
And I think that there are a lot of those kind of stories around here. There's a guy who is active at the center who has a cabin that he believes was once a speakeasy when the mill at Port Madison outlawed alcohol.
Interesting. Yeah.
So there are a lot of those little stories around here.
Well, you guys are here long. Most of you have been here a while. You remember when there was a bordello down at on Point White Drive?
Well, Sheila does, for sure.
Does. Yeah, Sheila's shaking her head like, yeah. I don't know if it actually existed, but it was a big joke that there was this, these
that's
$500 an hour call girls at some house down there or something.
I think it would be great, to have retell the story of Frog Rock. Maybe you have to interview.
Oh yeah. Should we interview? What we could do is we could pretend we're Frog Rock, and talk to Frog Rock and interview them. How long I've been here. God, I've been in the sun for so long.
Well,
nobody watches me enough. Anyway.
Who were the ne'er-do-wells that painted me in the first place? Jim Hayner has a comment or question.
Yeah, Jim.
The bordello, by the way, that you were talking about, was run by a guy that everybody on the island knew, and I'm not going to go into his name right now, but that actually is a fact. But that's not why I wanted to.
So it was a fact. You're right.
It was absolutely a
There
fact.
actually was one. Okay. All right. Good.
We moved here 43 years ago, and this whole conversation shows how much the island has changed. Because we had bought a house here, we knew right away that this is just an explosively beautiful place. So we were in the Martinique restaurant, which was the only restaurant on Bainbridge Island at the time. And we were moving here from Chicago, and so I got into it with the waitress, and she was really kind of nasty to me. And I said, all of a sudden, I didn't really mean to upset you. I said, we just bought a house here, and we're just delighted. And she said, well, that's really a shame. And I said, why? She said, well, because we don't want anybody moving here to Bainbridge Island. Now, later, 4 or 5 years later, she and I became good friends with her husband, and we used to sail in the Saturday morning races at Port Madison Yacht Club. But this indicates to me how different things have become on Bainbridge, and how welcoming and nice it is to everybody here. And I really appreciate your Margaret and Kevin, your movement, and thanks much.
Thank you, Jim. I think it's also important because we do have a lot of new people, and I've noticed a lot of people coming from California, unlike myself, don't want to completely assimilate to what this island represents. And I think sharing these stories about this wonderful small town environment and how we want to keep that feeling and that welcomeness towards the islanders and outside people, of course, as well, but preserving this wonderful, there's a reason people come here. And it's not because of a Pilates studio on every corner and a Trader Joe's. It's these wonderful individual businesses and this really fascinating history and this continued community participation in every aspect. And that's something I really felt strongly about wanting to share and promote to a lot of new people, saying, hey, here's the reason you live here. You're not going to get this anywhere else. And I've gotten a lot of positive feedback for that. People saying, wow, I had no idea. So I think, that's kind of one of the driving factors for me, at least, is to share why we're here, and what makes us tick, sort of.
Well, we moved from Chicago, and pickleball was invented on Bainbridge Island, as you probably know. Right. And Barney McCallum, and my wife is a Catherine McCallum, so we built a court in our backyard. And
you're one of the court. I've met another court owner. That's very exciting.
We had tons and tons of fun with many people every weekend. So that was way before this has taken off now, and it's taken off internationally.
Yes, it has.
Right.
Oh yeah, it has.
Yeah.
When I did my first,
she's done Kevin. Stories on it. I've done stories on it. Yeah.
When I first started the blog, I hounded everybody I knew, and I have quite a bit of family overseas and a lot of friends overseas, and they mostly follow the blog. But when I did the pickleball article, I was absolutely amazed. People from all over the world. I love this. This is fantastic. We play pickleball, or we just learned about it and we love it. So I think that's a great, pickleball is kind of one of the best ones to get more people looking at the blog. So we'll probably be doing a continuous update on that, what's happening, the new courts, so we'll keep that up to date, because if for any reason it gets people looking at the blog, which then in turn gets them looking at other articles about the senior center, et cetera. So.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
There's a person that I'd like to throw a name out for you that you might want to contact, along with Reed Hansen. Reed is the epitome of island lore. He knows this stuff like crazy.
Right.
The other person is Dan Goff, who recently retired from the Historical Museum.
Mm-hmm.
He and he would be, I don't have any information as far as how to get a hold of him, but certainly if you talk to Katie or somebody up there at Brianna,
Yeah.
Brianna, yeah.
that's his name, but he was there for a long time, and he's a quiet fellow, but he has got so much information. He's one of those people. When I was able to be a deacon up there, a docent. I wasn't a deacon. I was.
You got the wrong religion, Jill.
When I was a docent there, and I plan on being a docent again, if I ever had a question about what was going on the island, I went to Dan, and he always had the question. He always had the answer. So anyway, Dan gone.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's a senior center member.
Yeah.
Of course, he better be.
Well, I'm just wondering if you are feeling like you're getting enough promotion to the blog, or what kinds of ideas you have to let more people know about it. This is one thing.
That's one thing that we are part of our restructuring plan. Figure out how to get it a little bit more out there. Learning how to use all the tools that what posting sites have would probably help a lot too. And getting, when we do an article, getting people to share the article with, their email list or their friends and family on their Facebook pages, I think also helps a great deal. We do see, obviously more recently because we're publishing more articles, but I have been following our analytics to see what our hits are. And we are seeing an uptick, so that's nice. And I think that has a great deal to do with Kevin coming on board, sharing with other people. But I also think it's also other people sharing. So,
well, if you come across an interesting article that you'd like to give a little more, air to, please let us know. We'd love to have you come by the center when we're open, or come by here when we're not, and share the story, and we'll let people know about the blog.
Absolutely.
Hey, Reed, I was wondering, is it possible, I know you send stuff out, is it possible to just put a link on your email if you're interested in, maybe that's, we're not, right now, we're not making any money on this blog. Hopefully down the road, we would love to. But
well, so I mean,
link?
If there's an interesting story or that might be of particular interest to our membership, I would love to do that on a one-off basis.
That's
we do have sponsors and all that, and I know that. But I'm all about making connections, and I think everybody at the Senior Center, like Karen said earlier, thinks about we're only as strong as we are in collaboration as a community. So I'm happy to lift up any particular stories you think might be of interest to our membership.
Okay. Is that something, I mean, you're signed up, but do you want us to, this is more PR that I guess Margaret talk about.
This is the inside sausage that Sheila was trying to get on earlier. Anyway.
I'm trying to do a Sheila, like
the inside sausage. That's a combination of inside baseball and making the sausage. So I don't know what you got there. Whatever it is, it isn't pretty.
You guys all know that Reed Price was a award-winning journalist before he stepped into this role. Okay.
I did not know that.
I don't know that I was award-winning. That's for sure.
Well, you were an AP guy for a long time.
I was just an ink-stained wretch.
Yes.
Oh.
You have ink under your fingernails.
Well, I am so grateful for you guys coming by and giving us an update on the Island Wanderer. And
thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, thanks for the time.
And I really think that this is a lot of people have tried to take an angle at this, is how to bind our community together with stories. And I really wish you all the luck, and we're happy to help you in any way we can, because I think that's a great way to tell the story of ourselves to ourselves.
Yeah.